Hey, what is going on, y'all? I know we a little delayed. I apologize. We had some technical difficulties. However, the show must go on. So it's your favorite business besties. It's your girl E. Marie and Dr. B and Alicia. We are here for another Sunday sit down with Team B.A.E. I hope y'all are having an amazing Sunday. I'm going to let B go ahead and introduce the topic for today.
All right. So yes, happy Sunday. Let me go ahead and get things out of the way. So if you haven't looked at my Facebook, if you're following me, today we're going to talk about losing yourself for the love of someone else, right? Last week we talked about relationships and we talked about, how relationships shape who we are, whether that's personal, professional, or anything in between, right? So today we're going to talk about what happens when who you are, you kind of lose that, right? And you lose that for the sake of loving someone else a little bit more than you love yourself, right? Deep. I know we're already talking about it, right? So I'm just going to jump right in. So for the two of you, can you share a situation where maybe you felt like you needed to be different, you needed to change who you were just to kind of meet what that person wanted, like to meet the expectations of that other person? And kind of what prompted you to do it?
Ooh.
I don't start off small.
You always come in for the jugular right from the beginning.
We don't have time for anything else. Shoot.
I love it. Okay, so in my last relationship that I was in, so your girl was married 5 years, and that whole situation, I wasn't being true to myself. And a lot of that was me afraid of, one, I knew what I was doing. I didn't want to be wrong. So for the sake of my stubborn self, I just pushed everything else that was going on with me to the side. And I was just like, well, I have to make this situation work, because if this doesn't work, then I'm wrong. Then I'm going to be alone. And there were just so many things that I didn't want to accept and I wasn't willing to accept. So that forced me to just push myself to the side, essentially. What about you, Alicia?
You know what? I don't really do those activities no more, but I can tell you back in the day, I struggled. It's so crazy because my best friend is a Libra. Her birthday is October 6th. And I promise you, I have met about 8 people in my life who at one point or another were near and dear to me with the same birth date. And trying to struggle with and juggle being there for each one of those individuals. And the person who I was dating at that time, their birthday was also October 6th. So it was a lot to try to balance. And I was trying to be everything for everyone, but it was exhausting. And the older I got, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be there for my best friend, and then I'll celebrate everybody else a little bit later. Because what I found was year after year, because this person was in my life for a long time. They're no longer, thank God. But I prioritized him over my best friend. And I was trying to work things out, but I just felt like I was letting her down. And at the same time, I was trying to be there for him. It was so much of a struggle. And I know I cannot be alone in this. I think that when we're younger, we struggle with the relationship dynamics of, balancing friendships and balancing romantic partnerships, right? And so then what I've even encountered this. What do you do when your romantic partner and your friends don't get along? It like puts you outside of your body. You do not know which way to go. That's like a tough conundrum. But thank God I have learned to, one, communicate, right? and let them know, like, this is uncomfortable for me. We're gonna have to figure something out. Maybe you get Fridays, you know what I'm saying, and you get Saturday of your birthday weekend. Or perhaps we can do something the weekend before, and then you and I can do something the weekend after. But you just have to definitely communicate and let people know that, like, I'm trying, but it's only so much that I can do, right? I'm
Right.
only one person. And when you put those expectations and you put those boundaries on people, it causes them to act outside of their body. So, like, I used to dread October 6th. I used to be like, oh, here we go. Like, I'm like, man, if I leave my dude, he gonna be upset. You know, if I leave my girlfriend, she gonna be mad. You know, back in the day when you got a friend group, I was like, I know they talking about me. Like, I know they talking about me. Like, she always with him. She don't ever be with us on this occasion and things of that sort. So it just caused me to, like, really shrink on that date, like, because I wasn't being my authentic self, because in reality I wanted to hang with both of them, right? And I'm like, I just don't understand why we just can't, you know, we see each other everywhere, we all go out together. I don't understand why we just can't celebrate it together. That way I'm not the person who's split in the middle. But it didn't happen like that. And so over time you just learn to adjust. But definitely, I know it seems real small, y'all, but for real, like, I was stressed for like 15 years. This is how long it went on, about 15 years. I was stressed on October 6th. I'm like, here it come, Lord Jesus, what am I going to do? And so I no longer have those problems because I kept that bestie. You see what I'm saying?
And
Got
left
rid
the
of
resting.
And
Yep,
that's
yes.
the
You see
rest.
what I'm
And
saying?
left
I
the
got rid of
rest.
the other person. And then the other people whose birthdays are October the 6th, you know, they were in my life for a season. And so now it's only 2 October 6th that I have to celebrate. And yeah, and the other people, they get a Facebook, hey, how you doing? Happy birthday.
Hey, right? Wow. Wow. I mean, that it's funny as you tell this story. First of all, I know like 8 people with my birthday, but that's a different story. But like you took me back to college because that's what that made me think of is because you know you're dating the one person, but then you have your friends, and your friends were there before the person, but
Right.
then you got the dude, and then all of a sudden, because again, I'm in college, so young and dumb, so it was a thing, right? I was like, oh my god, and you know, so then you bring them together because you want them to be friends, so that you don't have to be like, I gotta go here, then I gotta go there. Like we can
Yeah.
just all be here together, but at the
Right.
same time, you know, then I satisfy both sides. Like yes, but it doesn't always work out that way. But I definitely know I lost myself in a couple of different relationships, and that's before I knew who the hell I was, right? You can't lose yourself if you know yourself, right? And I had to grow into that. You know, you can't necessarily lose who you are if you are confident in what you already know about who you are.
Yeah.
But then kind of shape ourselves because we want to be liked, we want to be loved. But then it's like, well, do I love myself? You know, because I'm making me fit you, but that me is not fitting me. And so yeah, that brought me back to like this college relationship when I had to do that. Even one of my most recent relationships, I wouldn't necessarily say that I changed who I was, but I definitely didn't live through my full self. Like I muted some parts of me because I didn't want to be too much, or I didn't want to seem like I was, you know, I mean, I am the shit, but you know, I muted some of my greatness because I didn't want to be too much for that other person. And so, how do you kind of
That's
like,
exhausting.
exhausting, right?
That's exhausting.
Exhausting.
I think
Like,
we share with the viewers that you and I we are Aries, and so your birthday is a day before mine. Yours is April 18th. I'm April 19th.
and
And
Shalonda's an
I
Aries.
don't know, you know, like the older I get, I'm embracing this Aries thing, and I have a daughter who's an Aries. But
Yeah.
we are some particular people. So when you were saying like in your last relationship you weren't fully yourself, and I want to even go back to something you said that caught the attention of my ear when you said when you're confident, you can't really lose yourself. But girl, sometimes you can, because I'm the most confident. Baby, let me tell you something about me. Listen, if you get to know me, hey, I'm a handful, but I'm only a handful with the people I feel like I can be vulnerable with, right?
Yep.
But in
Right.
relationships, like, I don't know, like, I am, okay, I'm gonna share something with y'all. Y'all may or may not know. I operate a lot in my masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's me, right? I told y'all last time, I'll hop off the porch. Like, I'm very like a dominant alpha female, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Right.
so I feel like a lot of times in my relationships, like, and the older that I'm getting, I want to operate more in my feminine energy. But you got to allow me to operate in my feminine energy, right? And so sometimes I feel like when I'm getting in relationships, and I haven't been in many, y'all, it's like 3 over my whole lifetime, but almost 30 years with 3 partners, okay? But anyway, so I just feel like a lot of times, like, I operate more so in my feminine energy in relationships, and then until you make me upset. And then that masculine energy is coming out. And I'm like, what you say to me? Like, I'm about ready to pop you upside your head. So, and I'm not condoning violence. I said I'm about ready. I haven't popped anybody upside the head,
Right.
okay?
Right.
But that
Right.
is the train of thought in which my mind is going. And so a lot of times it causes me to be quiet and be mute, because I will eviscerate you with my tongue, okay?
Ooh, you
And then I will be ready for the fallout and the follow up if you're feeling a little bit froggy. So for me, I feel like I operate best outside of relationship, because if you're gonna be in a relationship with me, you need to allow me to operate in my feminine energy. Because if you don't, because I'm trying to do that with you. I'm trying to operate in that energy and not go very masculine with you. But if you can't be a leader, if you can't be a visionary, if you can't be all of those things, I'm no longer going to operate in my feminine energy. And my feminine energy sometimes shrinks itself, right? My personality gets a little bit more meeker. I'm a little bit more quieter. I'm a little bit more daintier. But when you lose that, because you are not being the leader who I thought you were supposed to be, right? You're not being the visionary. You're not leading the home. You're not leading this family, or you just a flat out knucklehead. Then no. And then when that masculine come out, they like, adios, girl. And I'm like, it's been real. So yeah,
Okay.
struggle.
I definitely hear you, because a lot of people, or definitely a lot of women, they talk about they want to be that, they want to be that softer side, right? But sometimes it's hard to do. Like, what do we talk about before? If you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do,
My
right?
girl
If
Jill
you
Scott.
can't tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do, right? And so, and I think that's kind of where that ties in. You and I, we already know we get bored very easily, and then things, don't happen. But like, can you tell me, both? Can you tell me a time when you felt like maybe, and you kind of segued into it, Alicia, where maybe you felt misunderstood or you struggled to communicate your true self in a relationship?
I'm gonna let Esty take this one. Let me marinate on that one.
A time where I failed to communicate in a relationship. Okay, so I would definitely say, yeah, I tell you that marriage, it all lead back to that right there, because I am one who's in my head a whole lot. So with being in my head, over analyzing, overthinking, I'll have conversations. Like, I'll have the full conversation in my head, get the answer, and then not have the conversation with you, because I'm like, well, I already know where this is going. I need to worry about it. And that is not effective. It's not effective at all. And I believe that that is what caused, at least for me, it caused a lot of issues because I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was suffocating because all these unsaid words were just building up on the inside of me. And there was I didn't feel like I had a safe space to even say what needed to be said. So it was a lot where I just was silent.
So you didn't feel safe because they weren't listening to you, or what made you feel unsafe to be able to even communicate with your then spouse?
Well, what made me not feel safe was they weren't listening. And there were a lot of signs that before we even got into the relationship where I knew I shouldn't have entered into that relationship. Like everything was already there. But I allowed a triggering moment to push me to move forward in something that I knew I didn't need to go into because I was
Trauma
anxious.
bonding.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I was just like, well, we just gonna do this then. And after I realized what I did, I was just like, well, now I gotta get out of this situation. And I don't know how. So there was all of that going into play with I need to get out. I don't know how. If I leave, then this makes my dad right. And I didn't want to admit that my dad was right. And like there were so many layers into what was holding me in that situation where I was just like, well, I don't know how to communicate this. So I just didn't communicate.
That must
Wow.
have been real tough for you.
All right. Shout out. Hi, Keisha. I see you.
Hey, Keisha.
Hey,
Keisha.
girl.
That's interesting because you talk, trauma will trigger a lot of responses, right? And I'm like, I I feel like I've been misunderstood. Well, I probably don't communicate that either, but like I definitely feel like in relationships I've probably been misunderstood, and it probably ties to similar to what Alicia said, that kind of thriving in that masculine energy because I we might know this. I'm a tad bit of an alpha female myself. Um, smidge. And so for me, if you're not moving, right, one thing I learned in my last relationship, if you don't have the drive to be better today than you were yesterday, like if you're not doing something to be better version of yourself, that's going to bug me. I had to realize that if you don't have a drive to do something and you just literally sitting on your ass every day, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, what are you doing? And like that, but I didn't communicate that. And so I just kind of, and when I said that I muted myself, like I didn't express my needs in that sense, or just like knowing what I needed from the other person, kind of, I guess you would say, in some way made me lose myself because I didn't maintain my standards because I was comfortable, right? I didn't maintain what my expectations were because, I mean, I was with somebody, right? And that does not obviously does not mean that it's okay just because you're with somebody. Don't mean you need to be with somebody, right? And so
Right.
that I had to learn is like I muted parts of who I was and what my expectations and my standards were because I was comfortable. And that's, I think, where, maybe that misunderstanding is like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can probably be meek. I don't know if I've ever seen it, probably only when I'm asleep. But I
No,
do
but I'm
think
sleeping.
I do think that there is a softer energy, but you have to be able to meet me in that space. And I had this conversation with one of my friends before. Like when you have that person who can balance you, who is there, like you feel like they are that person for you, you fall back naturally, right? If you don't have those things that are going to lead us, and I don't feel like you can lead us, I'm not letting go because I got things to do. I got life to live. I'm not letting go of that quote unquote control if I don't feel like I said, you can tell me what to do, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm controlling too, especially when I feel like this is not going like you said. Like, I have standards. I'm a classy lady. You see what I'm saying? And if it's certain things that you are doing, and I feel like that is low vibrational for
Right, right.
PG terms. If I feel like that is low vibrational, then I'm the opposite. I'm gonna nag. I'm gonna control it. I'm gonna nag, and you are going to feel powerless. I will make you feel so powerless, like you have no control. But that is that masculine energy that is coming out of me. And I do it quite often when I notice that, okay, like this is not going in the trajectory in which I thought it would go. Or, what you're doing is not up to my standards. And I feel like and this is probably a catalyst to why I'm single, because I feel like the last relationships that I was in, like they did not live up to my standards. Like the living situation, how you handling your money, the decisions that you are making with your money, like all of those things, right? But then also on the friendship side, it's the same way. Like if I feel like you're not being the friend that I need you to be, I'm a very forgiving person, but I'm not gonna forget, right? And so in my mind, I'm keeping a tally of everything that you done, right? And I have already predetermined how many
Aries. That's an Aries trait.
I have already predetermined how many chances you gonna get, and I'm counting them back. I'm like, yeah, back in '99, I remember when you didn't show up, and I told you I needed you. Then in 2001, you went ahead and you did this, and that. I'm keeping a tally. It's all up in the attic. Okay.
Can't remember what I wore yesterday, but I can tell you things from that.
Yeah, if I have to revert to my Rolodex and see what you done, we got a problem. We got a big problem, and you're going to hear about it. And so I feel like I'm very now adept to recognizing those signs and getting rid of people before I have to act out of character. And acting out of character for me means hopping in that energy that I don't want to assign you a friend or a lover. I don't want to assign you. So I'm gonna have to remove myself, because in a minute I'm gonna do a ride down. And
oh, Lord, good gracious! So that is hilarious. But so, what do you think is a healthy compromise? I guess you can say. What does a healthy compromise look like with in a relationship without compromising oneself? So I guess, what do you look for to balance you out, whether that's a friendship or an intimate partner? Like, what do you look for to make that balance so that you're like, all right, because that's, I see people, don't compromise your standards. I see the chat going on. What does that look like? What does a compromise look like?
I don't know. I don't know. I
compromise a lot. Probably got us beat.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I have come to find in the new relationship that I have been in. And it all started with one, being a friend first. Like my dude, he's my best friend. Like literally, I think that's what makes this work, is because he is my friend. He's my friend first. Like the way our relationship is established, we already had a friendship of like 10 years of that's my dude. So like that's my homie. And so when
it dude too, man.
Right, that too. So when it transitioned, I think a lot of the element of being able to just, have that person you can vent and talk to and just say, hey, look, I'm not feeling it today. Like, just today ain't the day. And being able to have that and know that there's no love lost, and being able to just have those moments of communication, and then being able to come back and be like, all right, so What was the problem? Like, what's the issue? Like you would with your friend. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes in speaking for romantic relationships, I think people lose that friend element and they
Mhm.
try and make it all this other stuff that, we see in the movies, we see on social media, and it turns into something else. And that basic element of why did we even get together in the first place is lost. It's like, why do I like you? Like, if you
Right.
can't figure that out, like, that's where a lot of things get lost in translation. And I think because I've been able to communicate and I've also been able to release a lot of those like survival mode things that women take on, like the control, like you ain't leading, so I'm gonna just have to figure it out. Like, this was the first time I was in a space where I didn't have to do all of that. And I think that also plays a major part in it, is being able to have open communication, have the ability to really just be friends, like be friends.
Right. And I will. Keisha says definitely got to be friends. No false narratives. Adrian says no compromise, communication and collaboration. And then again, Keisha says
Yes.
Did
be
you say
real.
Adrian? Girl,
I
hold on.
did.
Let me look through here. Let me see. Keep
I
going.
did.
Let me see this. Let me see. Keep going, girl. Keep going.
I am. You gonna answer the question?
What was the question, girl? I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to see.
The question was, what do you think is a good compromise? What does it look like within a relationship?
Oh, okay. Is that Adrian a girl or a guy?
It's a guy.
That's the
Oh
guy.
Lord. Okay.
I can give you a
Okay.
last
So
name if
here
you
is
want.
my answer.
It might.
My answer is I feel what Esty is saying, definitely. In the longest relationship that I had, I feel like we started off as friends. We knew each other first. But then, I ended up not liking that friend as time went on. In the relationship, that person no longer was my friend. I stopped talking to him. He stopped talking to me, all of those other things. And we just did not like each other after a while. And it could have just been because we started a romantic relationship when we were younger. And then when we were trying to evolve and become the adults that we were becoming, we didn't allow each other the opportunity to grow. You know what I'm saying? We expected them to stay the same. Like, you used to do this, why don't you do this anymore? And he didn't understand, like, I'm a growing woman. Like, I'm not a teenager anymore. So the things that I used to do, the things that I used to think, how I used to behave is no longer me anymore. So if you can't accept who I'm growing into, then I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
In my relationship that just passed, my previous relationship, we're still friends. Sometimes, I still want to just, but yeah, we are still friends. I was gonna do, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I be wanting to take that person out, but it's still all love. But I feel like the compromising, I don't know what you can do to compromise so that you're not losing yourself in a relationship. I think the best thing that you can do is be your authentic self. And I think
Right.
that if you take care of yourself in a relationship, I feel like they'll be okay. I feel like a lot of times we're trying to be so much for everything else. We're trying to conform to what our partner likes. Okay, my partner is into collectibles. Now I'm really into collectibles, but I hate collectibles. I don't got no interest in no collectibles. Or you in a car, you're in a car club and you like hydraulic cars and old cars. I don't like old cars. That's why they're old. I like new stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when you start taking on the interests of your partner, then you are already beginning to lose yourself instead of having an appreciation for and saying, you know what, my partner likes this. If I come across a collectible that he likes or she likes, then I'll go ahead and get it for them. But I don't have to be all up into something just because you're all up in it. I'm not going to fake the funk. I'm going to still enjoy the things that I like to enjoy. And he should, or she should, vice versa. Like, take care of yourself. I think a lot of times we get so upset because in most relationships, it's one person bending more than the other person is bending. You are liking and you're into a lot of the things that they're doing, and they're not being reciprocal, or they're not giving as much as you are, and then you feel slighted. I hear so many adults in relationships and in marriages saying, well, I've changed. I try not to do the stuff that she don't like, or if it's a female, I try not to do the things that he doesn't like, and blah, blah, blah. But if that's a part of you, why are you trying to not do the things that they don't like if that's a part of you? Like, why aren't they accepting you for who you are, especially if you already came to the table like this? So I feel like continue to be who you are and bring your authentic self, and don't try to bend yourself for the sake of doing the things that person likes. And I feel like I learned that biggest lesson. Like, I felt like I learned it in my first relationship, but my second relationship was so much different than my first. It was the total opposite, and that really drew me in. However, I do not feel like I was being the most authentic self in my last relationship. And I feel like that is maybe part of the reason why it didn't work. Because if I was my authentic self, I would have checked some of those things that had happened that I really wasn't happy with, that I just kind of, went along with for the sake of, well, this person is into it, let me go ahead and go along with it. And those things didn't make me happy. And in the end, I ended up regretting them. So continue to be who you are. Be true to yourself is what I have to say. And then I feel like everything else from there, if they're going to love you for being you, let them love you for being you, but don't change yourself to be an image in which they like. Because guess what? In another few years, their interests are going to change again. And then what are you going to do? You're going to keep on reinventing yourself instead of being true to yourself? No, be true to yourself. And then if they like it, they'll buy into it. If they don't, that's their problem.
Right. Do you think society, or like our social media world, do you think any of those spaces contribute to like this feeling like you have to be malleable to meet the needs of somebody else?
Absolutely, because everybody's trying to escape and be somebody or something that they are not, for the sake of likes, for the sake of, these people are really feeling me, for the sake of, let me, get these people to like me so that I can increase my revenue and all of those things that you have. So I definitely feel like social media plays a big part in that, but it shouldn't. Continue to be who you are.
That part. Couples
goals. Get off social media.
Couples goals is killing relationships left and right.
And it's couples goals because you only see something on the social media. You don't see the background, right?
Right.
Just like with everybody's individual lives, people paint this, this picture of everything is fantastic. And, I can take a picture, right? But a picture is not necessarily worth 1,000 words. It's probably 1,000 words that are missing, and that's what it's worth, right? So it could be worth 1,000 words, but it's the truth behind the picture, and not exactly what you're seeing in the picture. So, I definitely agree with you. I think, a lot of people are living for the likes and, living for that social media acceptance. And so they're fluctuating who they are, their personalities, because they want to get all of these things to be liked by the outside world rather than necessarily like yourself first. Good Lord.
Yeah. Everybody want to be Beyonce until you figure out all the stuff that she got to do. Like that life don't look fun. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like,
there's a lot of hours and time and effort in that.
Hours, time, dedication. Beyonce is a beast. If you don't have that work ethic, then you need to be who you are. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't strive for that. That's some stuff I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to eat lettuce without, the fixes or no dressing and stuff like that. So I need to be because that lifestyle don't fit me. No. Be who you are.
Be who you are. And at the end of the day, being who you are, like, and I tell people this all the time, even like with my friendships, I'm like, it's black or white. I mean, kind of like my shirt, right? Like, there's no gray with me, right? You either like me or you don't. And, that has been the best thing for me, because I can tell you now I have no fake friends, because you're not going to fake like me, because you either going to like me or you don't. Like, I recognize I'm an acquired taste, but I'm honest. I'm straightforward, right? So I'm not going to sneak behind your back. I'm going to tell you in your face. And like, but at the same time, I expect the same in return, right? So I'm like, there's no gray in terms of like my relationships. And so that, I think that's where, the understanding comes from, is being exactly who you are, whatever that is. And, whoever accepts it, accepts it. Whoever doesn't, doesn't. And that's kind of just it. Like, not bending and flexing and changing who you are to get somebody to like you, because like you said, that person's gonna like something else later. And if you're not being who you truly are, you may not be like it's not gonna be what they need, because they don't even know who you are. Right. So
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But I know, our superstar over there, gotta go do big things. But yes, do you guys have any closing remarks? Anything you want to add to this before we wrap up and kind of get out of here?
Just stay true to yourself, y'all. Don't sacrifice yourself for the sake of a relationship, because all good things must come to an end. I don't care how good that relationship is. At some point, it's going to end, and all you have in the end is yourself. And so, be true to whoever he or she is, and live life.
Yes, I agree. Like, literally allow people to love you by being you, because they don't really love you because they don't know who you are if you're not being you.
Right. Absolutely. And like you said, I'm just gonna wrap it up. Yes, be you, be true to yourself, and and true for you and by you, right? So don't lie to others, but the most of all, don't lie to yourself, because when you look in the mirror, you need to be happy with what you see. So as we wrap up,
Did you
Alicia,
put a spin on FUBU? Did what you do?
what I
You why you? What did you say? All I thought was FUBU. I'm like, what was that?
I sort of. We're gonna put the playback on. You can see what I said, because I don't remember. But yes, as you can see in Alicia's background, you can follow us. You have E. Marie, Dr. B. Randy, and Alicia the Great. Alicia, you have a webinar coming up, right?
I do, but the details are not finalized, ma'am. But I will let you all know as soon as the details are finalized. I've been enjoying my little, holiday break, but I'll be back at it real soon.
Awesome. So just for everyone out there, we will be up here again on what's that, the 17th, Sunday the 17th. So we will have a lot more fun. We'll drop our topic, and we hope to see you then too. Again, thank you for joining us. I do see the other comments in the chat. Just wrapping it up. I know Keisha says she likes each one of us. You are all authentic. Thank you very much. We love you.
We love you too, girl.
Love you too, love bud.
Facebook,
Keisha, can we get you as a guest? How about that? Like,
you can be a guest. We don't have to talk about that. We don't have to bring you on. Maybe we'll talk about that this next one, one of the ones coming up in the new year. So absolutely. Until then, definitely, we appreciate you for joining in, and hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.